Valdez, and I'm the appointed special magistrate to hear today's cases. I'm a practicing attorney and have been a member of the Florida Bar for over 20 years. I've been appointed to this position in accordance and with the authority set forth in Chapter 162 Florida statutes. It is my role to fairly and objectively review the matters presented today. As such, I would like to advise you of certain matters related to today's proceedings. Today's matters will be heard in the order that they appear on the agenda. Every effort will be made to hear all persons having relevant evidence, argument, or comments to offer related to the specific case that is being heard. If you wish to speak today, it is necessary that you be sworn in just a few moments. In all cases, since the city has the burden of proof, the city will present its case first. The respondent or property owner then will be given the opportunity to refute the allegations. Formal rules of evidence do not apply to this proceeding. However, I will exert every effort to ensure that fundamental fairness is afforded to all parties. After hearing all relevant evidence, I will issue an order. The order will be reduced to writing, and you will be provided with a copy by mail. Therefore, please make sure that we have your current address. Additionally, you are advised that I do not have the authority to grant you a variance, permit, or special exception of any kind. My role is solely to determine whether a city code has been violated and to provide you a reasonable time to correct the violation by whatever means is available to you. Please be advised that you may be subject to a fine and a lien may be recorded on your property if the violation is not corrected by the compliance deadline. If you wish to present any information to me today, it is necessary that you swear or affirm that you will tell the truth. Therefore, at this time, I'd ask that the city attorney swear in any witnesses.
So anyone that's going to speak today, if you could stand up, raise your right hand, take the oath. You swear that the testimony you're about to give is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay, thank you.
All right, the first case we have on the agenda is case number 2020.1234. I understand, Mr. Trask, that the city wants to continue this case. Is that correct?
That's correct. We'd like to postpone this particular case till next month, as we believe that the property be brought into compliance within that time frame.
All right. Do you need me to issue an order of continuance, or you just want to roll it over and notice it to next?
We're just going to roll it over,
okay.
Save the cost of that.
Okay, in that case, we will move on to the next case on the agenda, case number 2020.1234. The property owner is Kevin Farrow. The property address is 14011 North Bayshore Drive, Madeira Beach. Is the city ready to proceed on this case?
Yes, we are.
All right, please go ahead, Mr. Trask.
We have a gentleman that has just stepped up to the podium.
The last case, I know that you just said it was going to continue over until next month, but if I have evidence to provide to the city, so I don't have to come back at a later time next month if it's not done, I'd like to do that.
Yeah, we're not going to proceed with the case today. I've already advised the respondent that they need not appear, so we're not going to proceed with that case today.
So I can't provide you any pictures or anything like that?
I'm not calling you as a witness, sir. If they want to call you, if the other property owner wants to call you as a witness, you can, but this is a quasi-judicial hearing. I am not going to call you as a witness. Okay, thank you.
All right, again, we're on case 2020.1245, the second case on the agenda. And Mr. Trask, if you're ready, you can go ahead and call your first witness.
Thank you. I would call Holden Pinkard as the city's first witness. We have two witnesses on this case. So Holden, if you could state your occupation, please, and your responsibilities here at the city.
I'm Holden Pinkard. I work for the building department, and I issue building code violations within the city.
Okay. This particular property at 14011 North Bayshore Drive, is that a proactive case, or is this a case as a direct result of a complaint being received?
We've received multiple complaints.
Okay. Who's the owner of this property?
Mr. Kevin Farrow.
And how do you know that?
By the property appraiser's website, as well as the Pinellas County tax appraiser, or tax collector.
I'd like to direct your attention to the packet of materials that has been handed to the special magistrate today, and I'd like to go through that packet of materials, specifically starting with the Pinellas County Property Appraisers Exhibit, starting at item or page 30 of the packet. Do you have page 30 in front of you?
Yes.
And what does page 30 reflect? What is that?
The Pinellas County Property Appraiser for the property in question.
And does it reflect that Kevin Farrow is the owner?
Yes.
Okay, turn to page 32, please. I'm sorry, I'll go to the next one, page 33. And why is that document in the packet?
Ownership, just to show ownership.
And what is it?
Mr. Kevin Farrow,
Now, what is the document itself, though?
the Pinellas County Tax Collector.
It's a printout from his webpage?
Correct.
Okay. If you could turn to page number 34 and tell me what that document is.
This is the courtesy notice of code violation that was sent on August 17th, 2020.
Okay, and who's the author of that letter?
Me.
And what was the purpose of the letter?
To notify the owner of the code violations, specifically section 9831, 9834, and 9836. All of them relate to stormwater and control requirements.
When you issued this letter, did you send it by regular mail or certified mail?
This courtesy notice is regular mail.
Okay. And the date it was sent?
August 17th, 2020.
Did you also provide with it a copy of the code provisions that were referenced in the letter?
Yes.
Did you ask the property owner to bring the property into compliance within a date certain?
Yes.
What was the date that you asked the property owner to bring it into compliance?
Let's see here. August 31st, 2020.
Did the property owner bring it into compliance by that date?
No.
Did you issue a second notice of code violation?
Yes.
And when did you do that?
The second notice was mailed on August 31st, 2020.
And is that document pages 38 through 40 in the packet?
Yes.
And how was that sent to the property owner?
That was sent certified mail.
Okay. Did you get the green card back reflecting that it was actually signed for by the property owner?
The signature is COVID-19, so I'm not sure if that was the owner or the post office.
Okay. And when you sent this second notice of code violation, did it cite the same code sections?
Yes.
As the previous letter?
Yes.
And did you issue another date of compliance that you wanted the property owner to bring the property into compliance?
Yes.
What date was that?
September 7th of 2020.
Did he come into compliance within that date?
No.
Did you issue a notice of hearing for today's hearing?
Yes.
And when did you do that?
That was mailed regular and certified, and the property was also posted on October 2nd.
Okay, and when you cited the property owner, what code section did you cite in the notice of hearing?
98-36, control requirements for stormwater runoff.
Okay. And was this letter signed for? Was the green card come back?
I don't believe we've received it back yet.
Okay. But you just testified that you posted the property?
Right.
Okay, when you talk about posting the property, what do you actually do?
Posting the notice of hearing.
All right, and where was it placed on the property?
In his front yard.
So it was stapled to a stick or something?
Right.
Okay. So that notice of hearing is pages 43, 44, and 45 of the packet?
Yes.
Okay. Did you also prepare an affidavit of service reflecting how you sent the letter and how you posted the property?
Yes.
Okay, and is that item number 46 and 47?
Yes.
Does that affidavit of service also provide that you posted the notice of hearing and the order to be posted at the City Hall here, 300 Municipal Drive?
Yes.
Okay, and was that done?
Yes.
Okay. Did you issue then a statement of violation and request for hearing for today?
Yes.
And was that items 48 and 49 in the packet?
Yes.
All right. And that was also attached to the notice of hearing when it was mailed out and
Correct.
posted on the property?
Correct.
Okay. Could you explain to the special magistrate what item number 50 reflects?
50 is a survey of the property showing the distance of the structure to the property line. The numbers highlighted in yellow are the distances in feet.
Okay, could you take a look at that? And since it is difficult to read, can you testify as to what those distances are between the edge of the building to the edge of the property line when you're looking at this survey?
The survey on the left side of the property is 3.65 and 3.5 feet, and on the right is 3.07 and 3.18 feet.
Okay. So that means the edge of the building is within that distance of the property line, just 3 feet?
Right, not including overhang.
Okay. All right, and if you could turn to page or items starting with the photographs, 51 and 52, and could you explain what these photographs depict? First of all, did you take these photographs?
Yes.
Okay, and what do they depict?
The proximity of the overhang to the neighboring property and the proximity to the property line.
Can you tell the special magistrate which property is being cited today? Is it the property with the two-story house on the right or the single-story house on the left?
The two-story on the right.
Okay. It's new construction then?
Correct.
Okay. And it's showing some grass next to the building and also white vinyl fence. The grass is on the property owned by the alleged violator in this case?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know how far the overhang of the roof hangs over the edge of the building?
I do not.
Okay. Page 52, it's basically another photograph of the same side of the house?
Correct.
Okay. All right, I don't have any other questions of this particular witness.
All right, is the respondent here, Mr. Farrow? Are you here? Anyone on behalf of Mr. Farrow here?
I am here.
You are here?
Yes.
Come on up, sir. Mr. Farrow, in just a couple minutes, I'm going to give you an opportunity to tell me anything at all you want to tell me, to introduce evidence and do your own defense. At this point, you have the right, however, to cross-examine and ask questions of Mr. Pinkard based upon the questions that Mr. Trask asked him. So do you have any questions you want to ask Mr. Pinkard specifically about what he just testified to?
No, nothing in particular. There's plenty to say subsequent to that. How many times was notice given, and when was the first time notice was given?
Give me a second here. I believe it was August 17th, the regular mail was sent.
That was the first time?
Right, and then August 31st, a certified was sent, and then it was posted on the 2nd.
All right. On the 2nd, when you posted it, did anybody take the time to find out where the sprinklers were run before driving a stake into my yard?
No.
All right, well, they punctured my sprinkler system.
I'd object. It's outside the line of direct.
Mr. Farrow, that's probably another issue for another day. I mean, obviously you're here today, so it seems like you did get notice of today's hearing. Are there any other questions that you specifically want to ask Mr. Pinkard about what Mr. Trask asked him?
No.
All right. Mr. Farrow, I'm going to give you an opportunity to come back up in just a few minutes, so just sit tight, okay?
Thank you.
Mr. Trask, do you have any further follow-up for Mr. Pinkard?
Not follow-up to Mr. Pinkard, but I do have another witness to call.
All right. Please call your next witness.
Have Linda Portal. Linda, if you could tell us what your occupation is and a little bit about your expertise.
I'm the city's community development director, and my background is in planning and regulatory administration. I am also the certified floodplain manager and oversee the drainage concerns for the city as they pertain to the regulations themselves. My background is in planning and urban development, including I am a doctoral candidate in urban design and planning. I also have 35 years in planning administration here in the state of Florida.
Thank you. When did you become first familiar with this particular case or code violation?
The concerns about drainage were raised as soon as the roof was being designed and installed, and because as soon as there was rain coming off of it, it was a concern that drainage, that runoff from the roof was hitting too close to the property line and at times even being driven off the roof at an angle that it fell onto the neighboring property.
The notices that were sent were first sent in August of this year. Were you aware of the situation occurring before the notice was sent out in August of this year?
Yes, we have been meeting with the property owner over the course of the last year, discussing concerns over the stormwater runoff. We've repeatedly met with him, and he acknowledged that he knew as a good neighbor he should put the gutters up, that would be expected. And each time we've met, he's assured us that he would put gutters on the house, but did not. So our concerns were being addressed and discussed in an ongoing basis over the course of the construction and initial occupation of the house.
When was the last time that you had a discussion with Mr. Farrow about the roof before it was cited?
The last discussion that I was involved with, I don't have the date of it, was during the month of March, which I know because we were on COVID and we're all meeting by Zoom. I know that the city also met with him, the city manager, and I think Mr. Pinkard met with him again within the last month because I was out at the time, but they had an additional meeting to talk about the gutters and reported to me that he had agreed to deal with the issue.
Okay, so the real violation here is that he's built a home, he's not maintaining stormwater runoff on his own property. Is that what the violation is? That's correct. According to both the comprehensive plan and the land development regulations, no site should be developed or used in a manner which increases runoff to off-site properties. Okay. Have you had an opportunity to see the rain coming off the roof onto this property? Yes, I have been out there during a heavy rain, as have several other staff members, and you can see that the water is shooting off, which is not surprising. The overhangs are within 18 inches of the property, and so as they come off that slope in a hard rain, it will run onto the other property. Even in a lighter rain, just because of changes in the grade, the rain that lands on the ground does cause some puddling off-site onto the neighbor's property. Even the pictures that you've looked at, if you look at them carefully, you can see there are small puddles along the edge of the sod, which are building up along the neighbor's property line. Okay. So what would it take for the property owner to bring the property into compliance with this particular code section that he's been cited with? We believe that, and we've talked to him about this, as I said, that if he could install gutters, at least on that side of the house, he would be able to direct the water away onto his own property, and then it could run across the yard before going into the street or back over. Some people will put it through their seawall or over the seawall, given its height. In this case, we think the rain should be directed across the lawn and into the street. Okay, thank you. All right, I don't have any other questions of Ms. Portal, and so I would make her available for Mr. Farrow if he has any questions.
Mr. Trask, in the event that I find there's a violation, you may want to ask Ms. Portal, I don't know if I heard it, do you have a recommended daily fine until correction?
No, I haven't gotten to that yet. I would do that once the case is finalized. I'd like to really hear Mr. Farrow's case and how much time he's looking for the need to bring it into compliance, and then I'd be happy to do it during summary if that's okay with you.
That is fine with me. Ms. Portal, before I get Mr. Farrow up here, I noticed in the notice that it said, please reply with a plan of correction before the follow-up date. Did you ever receive a plan of correction from the respondent?
No,
before September
we did not.
7th? Okay. And your plan of correction, or the plan that would be acceptable to the city, would be to install gutters along, and I don't, let me see if I can understand from the survey, is that along the, I guess that would be the west side of the structure?
Given the placement of the lot, it's actually along the north side of the structure.
That's the north side, okay.
And there may be other ways, that's why we ask for a plan of action. It could involve gutters, or there could be some other means of directing water off of the roof and onto the property, other designs that can be attached to the roof. We just didn't receive anything to analyze. One way or the other, that roof runoff is impacting the neighboring property.
Understood. All right, Mr. Farrow. Come on back up, sir. Just as you did for, or just the same opportunity you had for Mr. Pinkard, you have the opportunity to ask Ms. Fortal any questions that you have of her based upon her testimony, or any questions that I asked her as well. So,
yes.
Again, you can ask her. This is just question and answer time. I'm still going to give you the full opportunity to tell me anything you want to tell me, but this is your opportunity to ask her a question.
Yeah, that's fine. Linda, just out of curiosity, you had mentioned that as soon as the roof design, that there was, this issue was addressed. That was probably a year and a half ago. Do you know when it was addressed that early on?
I don't have all the records of our meetings in front of us.
Is there, do you know if there's any written record or anything that shows that this was discussed that early on? I don't recall.
You don't recall any of the meetings we had?
A year and a half ago? No. I very much recall the recent meetings that I called, that I specifically requested. But I'm wondering if you remember addressing it in the early stages of construction.
We have records of meetings that we held with you, with just our minutes, our notes that went into the FEMA records. So I would have to look up the dates of those.
Yeah, if I could get that, that would be appreciated. On 5/20, I sent multiple emails. One was showing the Ryans property that did not have gutters on their own home. Did you receive that?
I don't recall seeing that. We weren't in the process of looking at the gutters on the Ryans property, and there's no indication that their rain was running off onto yours. They haven't done anything to their property to create
that wasn't
change.
the basis of my concern. The basis of my concern is how somebody is complaining about runoff on an adjacent property without gutters on their own home, with a roof line that is clearly going to run into their property.
Sure, of course. That's where the roof line for their property is supposed to run onto their own property. The code requires that you not have an impact on someone else's property. It doesn't prevent you from letting your roof drain onto your own property. And the other thing is that it's really the change that creates the situation for code enforcement. They have not developed their property in a way that created a change to their drainage.
Well, subsequent question, was the basis of the complaint that water was somehow getting under their eaves or getting under their structure to create potential damage?
No. The concern that we had in observing the runoff from your roof is just that it's hitting the edge of their property and creating ponding on the side of the property line that is theirs. We didn't address any kind of runoff underneath the house at all.
Okay, well, it was my understanding from speaking to the adjacent property owners that the big concern, which is understandable, rainwater was somehow getting into their basement structure of whatever type it is, and that was causing issues for them. Now, it is somewhat surprising to me that without gutters on your own property, that you would think that an adjacent property would be more of an issue to water encroaching your basement than not having gutters on your own property to disperse the rainwater that's coming directly from your roof onto your property.
Right, as I said, I did not analyze water going into their property from their own roof because that's not a code violation. That would be something they'd have to address themselves. We only looked at the water that is coming directly off of your roof, where it's landing, and where the ponding is occurring.
Okay. Well, just for the record, I'd like to be known, until very recently, he has put a gutter on just a small corner adjacent to my property, but as of the initial complaints, he didn't even have gutters on his own property. The rainwater, would you agree that the rainwater would have to be coming off my roof at approximately at least 20-degree angle to be clearing my property line?
I'm not going to do the math and the geometry here. I did ask our engineer to look at it. It depends on the velocity of the wind and the rain. Whatever the occurrence is, it's close enough to the property that at some point it does clear your property line, or it hits your property line and then ponds in the direction of their property. It can be a runoff thing. It does not have to directly hit the neighbor's property. It can be running off, and that's the case here.
All right. When I asked on multiple occasions for proof, whether it be photographs or videos, I was told on multiple occasions they would provide that to me. I still have not seen them. Again, on 5/20, I sent an email with multiple photos of other three-story structures that have obtained CO within the last year that are not being required to have gutters put on. Is there a valid reason why I'm being singled out?
Objection relevance. The other photographs, the other properties have no relevance to what is happening here. So I'd object to that being asked.
Yeah, Mr. Farrow, again, I'm going to give you the full opportunity to make whatever argument you want to make to me about anything, selective enforcement, whatever you want to argue. But do you have any other questions specifically about what Ms. Portal testified about?
I guess the biggest thing is I had asked on multiple occasions if somebody had witnessed this, because I had gone out and looked myself and have never seen water from my property encroaching the neighbor's property. It comes straight down onto that strip of grass on the left side of my house. If there was any proof of this actually occurring, and I had asked in our meetings on multiple occasions, and I still have yet to see any evidence of this. And I had spoken to one of the sheriffs who came out and watched it with me on a rainy day, and we observed the rain coming straight down onto my property. So I'm at a loss for how my property, according to you all, is affecting the neighbor's property when they don't even have gutters on their own home, and just the trajectory of how the rain would have to come off my roof to clear. I know that I have a variance to my property line, as do the Ryans, so we are close, and I think we all are well aware of that. But I have observed it myself on multiple occasions. And I have said, to your point, that I was going to get gutters, and I will be getting gutters for the mere fact that, rainwater is is creating runoff into my own pool. So I just don't see the fair and equitable treatment. And you can say that other properties, but from my understanding, precedence does matter in law, why I'm being singled out. So if somebody could address that, it would be appreciated.
Ms. Portal, I guess if you understand his question, you can answer it the best you can.
As I've tried to indicate, the rain doesn't have to clear your property line and hit the other property line to be creating ponding and runoff. The essence of runoff is not only what runs off the roof, but what runs off the ground. And if you've altered the slope and you've built close enough to the edge, the combination of those situations is that when the rainwater comes down, even if it comes straight off your roof, it is running under the grass onto the neighboring property. The proof of that is that the photos that were taken are taken even on a clear day, and there are still ponds, little small ponds along the side.
May I see the photo? Is it something that's available?
It's actually in the packet. There's no singling out. We have to take each property and each runoff situation individually, and we don't compare them within a single code action.
And Ms. Farrow, again, I'm going to give you an opportunity to tell me everything you want, all your arguments in just a moment, but is there anything else you want?
Yeah, just the last question relevant to that photo. Is it perceived that couldn't be runoff from their own home? I mean, does rain not affect their property? Does rain not come off their roof?
There's no indication that there was ponding at exactly the property line before yours was built. There's you said that yours is higher, and that's why the rain is stopping at that point. Rain doesn't run up, obviously. So the water that's running off is running that direction because the change of the grade and the fact that there is now considerable impervious surface on the property. The rain all of that water that used to soak directly into the ground when it was vacant is having to run in one direction or another.
It's a buildable lot, so again, my question is there any proof in any way whatsoever that this didn't happen prior to my home being constructed?
That it didn't demarcate the two lots?
That it didn't puddle on their property?
No.
So it could have been a pre-existing condition?
The grades were not pre-existing, and you did have to bring in a survey for your property before it was built, and it does not show that there was any draining off towards their property before.
I understand that. Well, all I'm asking very simply is it possible that the puddling could have occurred prior to? He has stone on his property, so it's not a raised grass, I understand that. Could it have been puddling prior to my home being built?
Well, when I was out there during the home being built, there was no puddling in that location, and as you know, I was on the site before. In addition, you've told us yourself that it wasn't happening, that there wasn't any ponding there at all. Now that we've had some time to see how everything is performing, we can see there is ponding there. It was not during construction.
I don't recall ever saying there wasn't ponding, ever. My question is very simple. My question is simply, is it possible that could have been a pre-existing
It's been
condition?
asked and answered twice now.
And I think Ms. Portal is saying, yes, it's possible, but her review is that it's not, or she's not aware of it, so I understand. Any other questions?
No, that's it. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Farrow, just stay close, because unless Mr. Trask has somebody else to call, then you'll be up next, so just hold on one second. Mr. Trask, anyone else?
No other witnesses for this case.
All right, we'll go ahead and accept into the record as exhibit number 1 the documents that you went over with both witnesses that are numbered number 29 through number 52. All right, Mr. Farrow, come on back up. As I understand it, the violation is that based upon the construction of the home, the grading, the roof, everything else, that there's water that's running off of your property that is going on to your neighbor's property. And what the city wants you to do to fix it is essentially put a gutter along this roof edge to drain down here into ultimately into the street. So that's what I understand the violation. Please, you have all the time in the world, make any argument you want to me as to why this is not a violation.
I don't believe, and I'll address you, sir, any proof has been provided, given the fact that the neighbors started complaining about runoff prior to even having gutters on their own home. I find it utterly absurd that if there's rainwater building up around your physical structure without gutters on your own home, why would it be perceived that a next-door neighbor would be responsible for puddling around your property? I don't see any substantial evidence that shows that this is a result of my home being built. I've asked for it on multiple occasions, as well as proof that it's happening. I have observed it and I have looked. I have discussed it with them. My bigger concern is, am I being forced to do something that no one else is being forced to do with similar structures around the city? I understand, sir, that you're saying it's not relative to this case, but I strongly disagree that based on just simple precedents, why I'm being singled out. And I think the city had ample time to provide evidence to me that it was coming off my roof. To see a puddle in their property, that's crazy to try to say that that is a result of my property, and it couldn't possibly be a result of rainwater coming off their own home onto their own property. So that's, from my perspective, if my willingness, and obviously COVID has created a big problem. I have gotten quotes for gutters, so you're well aware. I'm still waiting for one more quote. As far as getting the work done, these guys are several months behind. It shouldn't be any surprise to anybody, given the industry, what's going on, how busy they all are, and then the issues of COVID playing into it. I am most likely going to be doing it by choice in the near future because of runoff on my own pool deck, which creates issues. I just don't see how legally I'm being forced to put gutters on because I feel like it's very much so something I'm being singled out for. And I have provided numerous properties around town that are three-structure homes close to adjacent properties that don't have gutters, and they're not here today defending that issue. So that's really it from my perspective. It should be a matter of choice. I don't see why it's being forced upon me.
All right. Thank you, sir. I understand your arguments. Mr. Trask, do you have any questions for Mr. Farrow?
No redirect. I mean, no cross, rather.
Mr. Farrow, believe me, I've heard many people having issues with getting contractors out during COVID for all sorts of issues. Of the two that you've gotten bids from, when did they say, if you were going to move forward with the work, when did they say they would start, and how long would it take them to do the work?
The last one, the work probably get done in one day, to be honest with you, maybe 2 days. It's not the work, it's getting them out there. The last guy I talked to said he's 2.5 months behind, and their prices were also ridiculous for what gutters should cost. There was a third party that was recommended to me through a referral, so I was going to obviously have them out there. It's just a matter of getting them out there. It has, I mean, I shouldn't be surprised to anybody. That's been pretty difficult. But that isn't really the main point of what I'm trying to argue here today. I'm trying to figure out how I'm being singled out on this. And it's just, like I said, to me it's borderline insane that you don't have gutters on your own property and you're trying to claim that a neighbor's water runoff is what's causing puddling in your yard.
I understand your arguments. Mr. Farrow, is there anything else you want to give me? Any documents, emails, videos, pictures, anything else you want to present and make part of?
No, I mean, I provided the emails to the city. I don't have them printed out, so
okay.
There's no way of doing so.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Farrow. Mr. Trask, I asked some questions. Is there anything you have of Mr. Farrow based on my questions?
No, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Farrow.
Thank you very much.
All right. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this issue? Any public comment? All right. Come on up, sir, and give me your name.
John Ryan, 14017, North Bay Shore. So I'm the house directly next door. During the process 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, whatever, getting this special variance to build this house, my main concern at that point was gutters. I was assured gutters would be installed because of the proximity of the roof edge to the property line. His roof edge is actually closer to the property line than what was supposed to be granted during that variance. And on top of that, the footer placement underneath the floor, underneath the structure, it's not just wall structure to footer and straight down. It extends out in areas 1.5 feet. So if you go down below his sod layer and the 3 inches, 3 inches of topsoil, you're going to be hitting concrete. So the impervious surface ratio is way blown out of character. That's why water is coming onto my property. It comes off his roof, it hits that, what's not landing directly on my land, hits his grass, which is not permeable enough because of all the concrete of the footer underneath it. Therefore, it flows onto my property. His roof goes north and south. My roof is east and west. The fact that I don't have gutters, I don't need gutters on the north part, on the street side of my home. Water directs off of there towards the west and, dry mouth, and drains properly. Doesn't go the other direction because it's, his roof is this direction, my roof's this direction.
Mr. Ryan, let me ask you this question since Mr. Farrow asked it of Ms. Portal. Did you have any of these issues before the home was built next to you?
No.
Farrow's home was built?
No, I had no puddling issues whatsoever.
Have you been able to observe during rain events water running from Mr.
Yes.
Farrow's property onto your property?
Correctly, and have taken videos, sent them in, taken many pictures. Been there when the cops have taken pictures.
All right, sir.
Other city officials.
Anything else you'd like to tell me?
Nope. Just that, like I said, it's been going on since you granted them the variance in the first place.
All right.
So it's not something new that just popped up.
All right, thank you, sir. Hold on one second. Mr. Trask, any questions of this witness?
No.
Mr. Farrow, you have the right to ask any questions of this witness. Is there anything you'd like to ask Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Ryan, just kind of come close because we may need to get you back up on the microphone, but in these COVID times, if you can just stay there, let Mr. Farrow ask the question, then you come up to the microphone and give an answer. That way everything's on the record, okay? Mr. Farrow, go ahead.
Yeah, would you agree that you closed on your property? I think it was within a month of when I purchased mine.
I'm not sure your close date, but within a half a year.
Yeah, so my question is how much experience he had before ground was broken on my property, to really see.
Your ground wasn't broken for quite some time after you closed on your property.
Okay.
At least a year, so I have plenty of experience.
All right, is there any evidence whatsoever that there was not puddling prior to?
It never puddled. My word, it never puddled.
I mean, I understand it's your word.
We had equal ground level. You've raised the ground level.
But you have no photos of that time prior to the house being built, anything?
Possibly. Do you? Do you have photos of the time before you built your lot?
I'm sure I do.
So it was ground level. It was equal. You have it on your survey. You have it on all the dimensions of your survey. I have it on the dimensions of my survey. Your grass is now this much taller than my lot itself. There's concrete underneath it. Water goes downhill. That's what it's doing.
I know what the footer is, and it does not run beyond.
Now, your footer's well outside the parameters that the special magistrate gave you when they had your setbacks. You encroached that setback by far, and that wasn't caught by the inspector.
I don't agree, but that's okay.
It's okay. We're going to have to agree not to agree.
I guess my last question is, are you saying that you had made a comment that yours drains as it's supposed to, that you have no issues?
I have no issues. My roof drains towards the street.
Okay.
And slopes accordingly.
And there's
never had a problem.
So the rainwater that's coming off your roof could not make its way to the base of your home?
Nope.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Mr. Farrow.
Without gutters, though?
I don't need gutters.
Okay, so it runs off.
I'm not affecting your property with my gutters.
That's not what I'm asking.
I'm not affecting a adjacent property.
I don't disagree with you on that. What I'm asking you is are you claiming that the rain that comes off your roof that hits in front of your house is not encroaching your property in any way?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's it. Thanks.
All right, are there any other members of the public that want to provide public comment? Yes, sir. Please come forward and give me your name.
My name is Dale McDonald. Earlier, I didn't raise my hand to be sworn in. I didn't know.
Hold on, just real quick. I'm going to get you sworn in. Just let me get your name. Dale, D-A-L-E?
Yes, sir.
Last name?
McDonald.
McDonald, okay.
I'm a project manager with H.E. Feldman & Son, and
Hold on just one second. Mr. Trask, can you swear the witness in for me, please?
Raise your right hand, please. You swear the testimony you're about to give is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and Mr. McDonald, just slow down a little bit. Tell me your title or capacity again.
Project manager with H.E. Feldman & Son. We are the general contractor. We took over the build for Mr. Farrow after, for whatever reason, the first contractor left. So all the footers and everything were already in the ground, and all the variances, all those things had been already achieved. And my specific thing I wanted to speak, just as listening, I didn't think I would need to speak, but, you know, I've got October 2nd email from Tamara Harvey that the engineer wants gutters, that Linda's looked at it. I've got November 17th, 2019 email discussing it with Kevin, reminding him that you still have not put gutters up, and you're holding me up when I'm attempting to get a CO on your property. He had been verbally spoken to about that beforehand. So this gutter thing has been going on for a very long time. And I just felt the need to speak up and say that, you know, I've got the emails with the city logo and everything, you know, sent to us as the builder, and we in turn informed him.
Okay, so if I understand, what you're telling us is that you have communications where the city's trying to get them to put gutters on the roof, correct?
Yes, sir.
And do you believe that the roof needs gutters to prevent this runoff that they're talking about?
Yeah, I think so, yes.
Okay. Mr. Trask, any questions?
No, I have no questions. Thank you, though.
All right, Mr. Farrow, do you have any questions of Mr. McDonald? All right, come on forward. Mr. McDonald, just sit close here so you can answer the questions. before the microphone.
Am I in an arbitration case with your company right now? Am I in an arbitration case with your company right now?
Yeah, we're in the middle of a dispute because you haven't paid us.
Okay, then I'll pay you because you illegally installed a roof and wrongfully placed the front wall on a house.
No, that's not, you haven't paid us because you've just not held up your end of the contract.
Is that to be determined in an arbitration?
Oh, yeah, we're gonna get things settled in there, but, you know.
Did I file an arbitration case against your company?
We are in a case. How many times, yes, you want to spell yes?
What is the claim?
Like
All right, I'll let you answer. What is the claim? What is my claim in this arbitration case?
Your claim is about a roof installation and other problems.
Okay, did you install the metal roof on my property?
Yes, our company installed a metal roof on your property.
Do you have a roofing license?
You don't need a roofing license when you build the entire structure.
Are you sure?
I don't understand the bearing this has on gutters and me stepping up and saying, hey, you've been being asked about gutters for a long time.
I understand. The gutters were started from a complaint from the neighbors that went through the city, then to you as the contractor. I agree with that. It all plays into exactly what we were talking about. It doesn't change my argument in any way whatsoever.
Okay.
The basis of you being here, however, is very interesting. So I do, sir, have an arbitration case that I filed against them. And if you want to look up, and I'm sure you're well aware that in the state of Florida, you need a roofing license to do specialty roofs, which are metal roofs.
Yeah, I think I understand your cross-examination goes to his bias. I think I understand why you're asking.
That's all. Thank you. That's it.
All right. Mr. Trask, anything else?
No,
Okay.
thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. McDonald. Thank you, Mr. Farrow. Is there anyone else in the public that would like to speak on this case? All right, sir, please come on forward and give me your name.
John Hendricks, I'll need to be sworn in.
Mayor, if you could raise your right hand, you swear the testimony you're about to give is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Well, I've ridden by that property numerous times. I've specifically gone by when it's been raining. No, I don't have the dates, but we've had some pretty hard storms, and I've driven by there for the intention of seeing whether or not the rain was going over onto Mr. Ryan's roof. It does.
All right, thank you, sir. Anything else?
That's it.
No questions.
Mr. Farrow, do you have any questions of Mr. Hendricks?
Yes, sir. Can you let me know who you are and your relation to Mr. Ryan?
I'm the mayor of Madeira Beach.
You are? Okay. Well, pleasure to meet you. A chance to meet you. Do you know when you said...
We can't hear you. You're going to need to step up to the microphone, please.
You said you don't recall when you went and took a look at it?
During some storms, I don't remember the dates. No.
Okay. All right.
It rained quite a bit during the summer.
Well, I mean, I don't have much to say to that. I have observed it myself on numerous occasions. Mr. Ryan had just said it's not necessarily coming off my roof and hitting his property. His claim was that because of my spread footer, it was coming runoff from my grass, which is at a higher elevation, and then going on to his. So it was very...
Mr. Farrow, Mr. Hendricks' testimony is very limited to he observed rain. Are there any questions you have? I'm going to give you another opportunity to...
No, that's it. I guess, was it hitting my grass and it running off, or was it hitting his house?
It was a storm. It was literally going over and hitting his roof.
Okay.
I have no skin in this game. That's what I observed.
Any questions?
No.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, I don't know if there's any members of the public left that haven't spoken yet, but is there anyone else who wants to come up and speak on this matter? All right. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Mr. Farrow, why don't you come up and tell me if there's anything else you want to tell me? Since the city has the burden of proof, the city will go last. But is there anything else you want to tell me? Any other arguments you want to make? Anything else you'd like me to consider in coming to my decision today?
No, I mean, I think everything that I need to say has been said. I am curious as to the mayor's relation to the Ryans, if there's a history, a friendship, anything involved there, why he would be coming out specifically himself when it has nothing to do with his job title here in the city to be observing rainwater coming off my roof. So I'm very curious to that. I would like that to be taken into consideration. I know they've been long-term residents of the area. Other than that, I'd like you to consider the burden of proof to be placed on the city, and I don't see much evidence. I've asked for evidence. I've asked them to provide evidence that it's coming off my roof, hitting theirs. I think scientifically it's absurd to think that, and simply the fact that he's saying that my property adjacent next door is more likely to be causing stormwater issues than his property without gutters. I mean, that's for you to determine, I guess.
Thank you, Mr. Farrow. Mr. Trask.
Thank you. To summarize, the city believes that it has provided you with sufficient evidence by way of testimony from Mr. Holden, Mr. Pinkard, and Ms. Portal that, in fact, there was a code violation of the violations that were cited in the case. You specifically heard testimony from Mr. Ryan, from Mayor Hendricks as to the water on the property. You've got photographs of water ponding on the property. You've got a survey that specifically reflects that Mr. Farrow's home is within 3 feet of the next door neighbor's property. It's clear that you've heard testimony, enough testimony and evidence to find that there was a violation of the cited code section. We're asking that you give Mr. Farrow 60 days to bring the property into compliance, and should he fail to bring the property into compliance within that time frame, order a $250 per day fine imposed subsequent to that 60-day period of time. So today is October the 12th. We're asking that you enter an order that it be effective December the 12th, and he needs to bring the property into compliance. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Trask. I am going to find the property's in violation. Mr. Farrow, we've heard from several witnesses, including the city's expert witnesses, that water from your property is going on to your neighbor's property. I'm not unsympathetic to the fact that you have had issues getting the gutters on there, and for that reason, I'm going to give you a little bit more time than what the city attorney has asked. I'm going to give you till the end of the year, December 31st, 2020, to remedy this problem. And if thereafter there continues to be an issue, then I agree a $250 a day fine, as the city requested, is appropriate. So I'll issue an order on that, and you will get a copy of it as well. And when you do bring your property into compliance, please make sure that you let Mr. Pinkard or someone at the city know that the property is in compliance. All right, sir?
Quick question for you.
Sure.
If I am in the process of getting these bids and told that they cannot do it in that time allotted, is there a process for letting them know that it's being addressed?
Absolutely. There's two ways you can handle that. Sir, you can go ahead, and we have meetings on a monthly basis, and you can come in here and come before me in next month's meeting or in December meeting, and we'll certainly consider your argument. You can also talk to the city and see if they agree on something, and if so, it's possible Mr. Trask can submit a proposed order or something like that to me that gives you more.
I've already been told by several of them that they're very backed up. So. All
right. Well, the order I'm going to enter is going to give you till the 31st of December. We are going into the dry season. I don't see this as being a health and safety issue as it stands right now. So I'll give you till the 31st. And if you need more time, then you'll need to take the appropriate action. Like I said, you can come back before and see me. If you have a bid or you have a contract or something that says their start date is on a certain date and you're trying to comply but you simply can't to get a contractor, we'll consider that as it comes forward. But the order I'm going to enter is going to give you till December 31st.
All right. And it is just for my records, can the city provide me whatever videos or anything else they have showing the rainwater so I can provide that?
I would suggest you get with Mr. Trask or the appropriate city personnel at some point after today's hearing, and I'm sure they can, through whatever proper public records request, and he'll assert whatever exemptions would apply, but you can certainly get with Mr. Trask about that.
Okay.
All right. All right, let's go on to the next one.
Okay, this is the same property owner.
Okay, so we'll call case number 2020.1247. Again, the property address is 14011 North Bayshore Drive. Mr. Trask.
I have two witnesses on this particular case, Mr. Pinkard and the building official, Mr. DeSantis. So I'm going to go ahead and start with Mr. Pinkard, since he was the one that did the paperwork. Holden, I know that you've already testified as what your job responsibilities are with the city on the other case, but can you tell us whether this particular case was a proactive case or was it a complaint?
The city received a complaint.
Okay, and what was the complaint that was received?
That the property wasn't, the fence of the property, was not fully enclosed. It didn't go to the edge of the seawall.
Okay. Did you go out to the property and determine whether or not that there was a violation of the city code?
Yes.
Okay. Who owns the property, and how did you verify that?
Mr. Kevin Farrow, and that was verified by the Pinellas County property appraiser and the Pinellas County tax collector. Okay. In the packet that the special magistrate has received today, I'm just going to go through the documents there. So the property appraiser record is pages 54 through 56, is that correct? Correct. And then page 57 is the tax collector, and they both reflect that Mr. Farrow is the owner of the property, correct? Correct. Okay. When we moved to item number 58 in the packet, there was a courtesy notice sent to Mr. Farrow. When was that courtesy notice sent? August 20th, 2020. And in that courtesy notice, did you tell Mr. Farrow what the violation was that you found with regard to the fence? Yes. Okay. And does it cite a specific code section that he was in violation of? Yes, section 110-719 as fencing as it relates to swimming pools. Okay. And that requires what? All swimming pools should be enclosed with a screen enclosure or a fence or wall having a minimum height of 4 feet and in compliance with the provisions of Division 3 of this chapter. The fence, wall, or door to the screen enclosure shall be equipped with a self-closing and self-latching gate which operates from the interior of the swimming pool area only. So Mr. Farrow has a swimming pool on his property? Correct. And does he have a fence immediately around his pool? Yes. Is that fence on the property line of the property? Yes. And the fence itself, we know based upon the code section that you just read, it had to be 4 feet in height. And where is it supposed to start and where is it supposed to end? It would end at the waterside edge of the seawall. And this particular property doesn't have a fence that goes that far, correct? Correct. Okay, did you give Mr. Farrow some time to come into compliance with that courtesy notice? Yes. And what date was that? Let's see. Until September 3rd of 2020. Did he come into compliance by September 3rd? No. Did you issue a notice of code violation then for the same code section? Yes. And when did you do that? September 11th, 2020. And when did you give him to come into compliance within that notice of code violation? September 18th. Did he do that? No. Did you send it by certified mail? Yes. And was it received by Mr. Farrow? Page 63 shows the received, or the return receipt, signed COVID-19. Okay. Is the property in compliance as of today? No. Did you issue a notice of hearing for today's hearing? Yes. And is that referenced in item numbers 64 through 66 in the packet? Yes. When did you issue that notice of hearing? October 2nd, 2020. How did you send it? Regular, certified, and the property was also posted. Did you do that also with the statement of violation and request for hearing? Yes. And is that items 67 and, actually, yeah, 67? Is that correct? Yes. And the affidavit of service that you issued on pages 68 and 69, that reflects that you issued the letter, you sent it by certified mail, you posted the property, and you also posted it here at City Hall, is that correct? Yes. Okay. Did all that occur? Yes. Okay. Page number 70 is a photograph, and same with 71 and 72. If you could take a look at those photographs. Were you the person that took those photographs? No. Okay, who took those photographs? Frank DeSantis, our building official. Okay, I'm going to ask him some questions about that. He took all three of these photographs?
Yes, I did.
Okay. All right, I'm going to get you a second, Mr. DeSantis. Those are all the questions I have of Mr. Pinkert. I would tender into evidence those items that are marked pages 53. through 72.
All right, we'll go ahead and accept into the record as Exhibit Number 1, the case information, documents, and other materials identified as page 53 through page 72. Mr. Farrow, just as in the last hearing, sir, you have the right to ask Mr. Pinkard some questions. I think what I understand is going on here is your fence going into your backyard, it stops maybe 6 to 8 inches short of the rear edge of the seawall. That's, to me, what I understand this violation to be here and the corrective action that they're seeking. But, again, do you have any questions for Mr. Pinkard about what he testified to?
No, hopefully this just addresses it simply. When was the last time you were out there? Because I have installed, it's a black metal wire fence that extends to the end of the seawall. I mean, if you can see in that picture, I can't see that picture all that well, but you can see it. I mean, I know where it is, but I mean, won't waste time. It extends past the neighbor's seawall. Mine jogs out a little bit further than the Ryan's seawall, so it steps out. So it actually hangs out well beyond the Ryan seawall and went probably the halfway point on my seawall. The reason why it was done that way originally is because it was the most secure way for it to actually be, load-bearing and structurally sound. I have since, and I have a photograph of it, installed a wire fence on the back side of it.
All right, why don't we do this? Hold on a second on showing me that, but do you want to show him that photograph to see if he's seen it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would make sense.
All right, why don't you show it to Mr. Pinkard and see if he sees that photo, or if he has seen the property in that condition. All right, Mr. Pinkard, I think the question is, have you seen the property in whatever condition that Mr. Farrow is showing you?
No.
Okay. Has whatever he's shown you, and maybe, can you show that to Mr. Trask as well, please?
Oh, yeah, I see it. Thank you. It's not necessary. Yeah, I don't have any other... I'm going to call my next witness if he has no other questions of Mr.
I was about to say, do you have any other questions?
No.
Or no cross, or no redirect, I'm sorry?
No redirect.
Okay. Mr. Farrow, you can probably just stand right there. I don't know how long Mr. Trask is going to take, but sit tight.
Thank you. I'd call Frank DeSantis. Mr. DeSantis, could you tell us what your occupation here at the city is?
I am the building official for the city of Madeira Beach.
And your job responsibilities here include?
Include overseeing the building codes.
Okay. This particular property, have you been out to the property to see where this particular code violation exists?
Yes, I have.
Okay. What is the legal requirement? Why is there a legal requirement around the pool?
Florida state statute says there has to be a minimum 4-foot height fence around the perimeter of the pool and to the edge of the property. Okay. And in this particular property, the vinyl fence, is it 4 feet in height? Does it meet the height requirement? In my opinion, it does, yes.
Okay. It just does not meet the length requirement. It doesn't go to the edge of the property, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the photographs that are here in the backup, pages 70 through 72, can you look at those? Do you have them there? Okay.
I have them in front of me.
Okay. So if we could look at, for example, photograph number 70, this photograph, is it taken of the backyard, looking across the backyard that belongs to Mr. Farrow?
Yes.
Okay. And so the fence that we're talking about is the far fence?
Yes.
Okay. And how short is it approximately from the edge of the seawall? How much further does it need to go?
I wouldn't say 6 inches.
You would say it would be 6 inches?
I'm sorry, it's 6 inches, yes.
Okay. You've heard Mr. Farrow just ask a question relative to this metal fence. Have you seen the metal fence he's talking about?
I've seen the metal fence, yes.
Okay. And is that sufficient to meet the city's code?
No.
Okay. Is it sufficient to meet state statute?
No.
Okay. Can you tell the special magistrate why that metal fence is not sufficient?
The metal fence is not secure enough to keep a youth from climbing over or around that PVC fence.
Okay, and is the fence that's supposed to be around the pool to be of a certain strength?
Yes, there's a minimum resistance on strength. I believe it's 200 pounds strength.
So if someone tried to get over that metal fence that was not 200 pounds and made it bend, is that what the really issue, what we're trying to accomplish is make sure that it can't be bent?
Yes.
Okay. What would Mr. Farrow need to do to bring the property into compliance?
Just put a, put a 6-inch extension on that PVC fence to the edge of the seawall, the water's edge.
Okay. Thank you. I don't have any other questions of Mr. DeSantis.
Mr. Farrow, this is your opportunity to question Mr. DeSantis on anything he just testified about.
Yeah, Mr. DeSantis, in our meeting, it was my understanding, and talked to the fence company about code compliance, I actually went to them as well. I thought we could do a wing, which I thought was actually, the way I rectified it was actually more secure. You could do a wing off the edge of the fence that hangs out over the seawall. Is that correct or incorrect?
Are you asking if you can do a wing over there?
Yeah, so when I spoke to the fence company, they said, customarily how they do that, when there's no way to secure it, because there's no proper way to secure it. That's really the issue that we're dealing with, which is why it was 6 inches short anyway, because I was able to actually drill into that seawall to keep it a little more secure that way.
It would be better if there was a wing over the seawall. That's the way all the fence companies are doing it.
Okay.
And not to say you don't have to do that, just saying that. That's the way all the fence companies are installing the fences, just over the...
Just for simple purposes, the issue that we're running into is because theirs jets back. I mean, it's the full width of my seawall, so my seawall is probably, I would say, 18 inches to 24 inches deeper than the Ryan's. There's nowhere to really secure it. That's why it was done that way in the first place. On the other side, obviously it goes all the way straight out to the edge because the seawall is in line with each other. So there's, from a 200-pound perspective, I virtually see it not even possible because there's no way to secure it unless you have a better idea. Because those wings certainly cannot withstand 200 pounds.
I don't see why it couldn't be secured to the side of your seawall. Looking at page 72. Excuse me.
I'll have to look at it from an engineering perspective to see. I mean, in our meeting, I was told just something needs to be out there to the edge of the seawall. I thought a metal fence would be sufficient. I drove it into the ground. I don't see how it doesn't meet code compliance, but.
All right, Mr. Farrow, anything else of this witness?
No, that's it.
Mr. Trask, do you have any other witnesses?
No, sir. That's the last witness on this case.
Mr. Farrow, this is your opportunity to tell me anything you want to tell me about this. I think it sounds like you understand the issues.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing from you is that there's some issues there. Again, what the city is saying is there should be some way to secure it, and literally you only need to extend this white PVC fence about another 6 inches, as Mr. DeSantis just said, to be in full compliance with all code and state statutes. But go ahead and tell me anything you want to...
Well, I understand that. To me, it was just a matter of it being properly secured. When I did it, I put it in a place where I could actually drill into the top cap of the seawall where it was the most secure. It was definitely done with the best of intentions. This whole city is well aware that in both of these cases today, where they're on the basis of complaints, the adjacent neighbor has complained about pretty much every single thing humanly possible from day one till now. It's what it is. So I don't think this would really even be an issue if it wasn't for the basis of a complaint. The fence goes beyond his seawall, so there's no risk from his side. Someone would have to literally climb up over the seawall. So it's very much so, again, just complaint after complaint after complaint. I have filed complaints. I don't see the city following up on the things I have complained about. I will subsequently send those emails again when I get home, so you have it. I don't know why none of those have been addressed, but there's been a lot of complaining from day one. It's just been quite a bit of a nuisance. So if the seawall needs to be fixed another way, maybe Frank and I can go in there and figure out a way that meets compliance. I thought this would meet compliance because it does go to the end of the seawall. It's not ill will or anything like that. It's trying to get it done.
Sure. Have you looked into any fencing companies to come out and do this work at all?
The original company I talked to, I can get somebody out there to do it. It's not,
no problem.
It's not a big deal.
Mr. Trask, do you have anything?
No, sir.
All right, thank you, Mr. Farrow. Have a seat. All right, are there any members of the public that want to comment on this particular case or would like to provide anything to me? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and we will close public comment. Mr. Farrow, anything else you want to tell me before I give Mr. Trask the last word? All right, Mr. Trask.
Thank you. I think it's clear that the property is in violation of this particular code section. It is for the safety of the pool area. It's clear that the state statute requires it. It's followed up by the city code section when it has been cited. It is required under the law. The building official has testified as to why the metal fencing that was added is not sufficient. This is something that is an easy fix. We're asking that you give the property owner no more than 30 days to bring the property into compliance. This is a life safety issue, a little bit different than the roofing situation and the water runoff, although those are very, very important. This is a life safety issue. We're asking that you order that a $250 a day fine be issued if the fence is not brought to the edge of the seawall within that 30-day time frame.
All right, I go ahead and I'm going to find there is a violation as stated and order that the respondent extend the fence to the waterside edge of the seawall on or before November 12th, 2020, which is 30 days, or a $250 fine thereafter will accrue. All right, let's move on to the next case, which is case number 2020.716. Property owner is Ann Arbor Corporation. Property address is 14977 First Street East. Is the city ready to proceed?
Yes, we are. I'd call Holden Pinkard. So, may I proceed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, Mr. Pinkard, this particular property, which is located at 79, I'm sorry, let's get the lot right. This is 14977 First Street East here in Madeira Beach. Is this a proactive case or is it a complaint-driven case?
The property in question was found to be working without a permit. There was some material in the front yard, and that's when code compliance stopped and investigated.
Okay, so it was a proactive case then, driving by, you saw work being accomplished?
Correct.
Okay. So who owns this property?
Ann Arbor Corporation.
And how do you know that?
The Pinellas County property appraiser and the Pinellas County tax collector.
Okay, so we're going to the packet of materials again that have been brought out to the special magistrate. Pages 74, 75, and 76 are the property appraiser's printout, and page 77 is a tax collector printout. Is that correct?
Yes.
And they reflect, both of them reflected the property owner's Ann Arbor Corporation?
Yes.
Okay. When did you first, what was the date? Do you remember the date approximately when you went out to the property and found that the work was being done without a permit?
It was the day the stop work order was posted, which is pictured on page 95, March 6th of 2019.
Okay. We'll come back to that photograph in a few minutes. Did you issue a notice of code violation in the case? And if so, when did you do that?
Yes, March 7th of 2019.
And what was the property owner cited with?
Division 2 building permits, section 86-52, when required.
And that's basically saying that you have to have a building permit to do work on your property, is that correct?
Right.
Okay. So did you ask the property owner to bring the property into compliance within a date certain?
Yes.
What date was that?
March 22nd, 2019.
Was it brought into compliance?
No.
Did you issue that letter by regular mail?
Yes.
Did you send a second notice of code violation on April 1st?
Yes.
And is that reflected in pages 81, 82, and 83?
Yes.
Did you send that by regular mail and certified mail, or just regular mail?
Just regular mail. I'm sorry, certified mail.
Oh, you did send it by certified mail. Is that reflected in page 84 and 85, the green cards?
Yes.
And was it signed for by someone looks like Jocelyn Smith or Jacqueline Smith?
Yes.
Okay. In the second notice of code violation, did you ask them to bring the property into compliance again, and what was the date?
Yes, and the compliance date then was April 10th, 2019.
Did the property owner come in and get a building permit?
They did not, but they did apply for one.
Okay, and do you know the specifics of the application, the reason why the application wasn't granted?
I believe the application was denied because the scope of work, a Pinellas County water navigation permit would also be required.
So they would have to get that permit before they could get the city permit?
They would apply with both, and the Pinellas County water navigation would be approved or reviewed and approved by the city, and that would go to the county for their approval, and then it would come back to the city where we would issue the permit.
And that never occurred?
No.
Okay. Did you issue a notice of hearing for today's date?
Yes.
And is that notice of hearing set forth in pages 86 through 88?
Yes.
How did you send that?
The notice of hearing, the affidavit of service, and the statement of violation were all mailed on, October 2nd, regular, certified, and the property was posted.
Okay, so we've talked about the notice of hearing, then the statement of violation was on pages 89 and 90, and then the affidavit of service on 91 and 92, is that correct?
Correct.
So did you also post it at City Hall, the notice?
Yes.
Have you heard anything from the property owner since these notices have been sent?
No.
No attempt to get a building permit?
No.
Did you take photographs of the property when you were out there?
Yes.
Okay. And if you could turn to page number 93, is that one of the photographs that you took?
Yes.
What is that photograph depicting?
The dock at the property?
So this dock was built without a permit?
Correct.
And page 94, what does this photograph reflect?
This photo is showing the stairs that are being rebuilt, and I believe the landing and possibly more decking on the balcony, but...
So they actually need a permit for the stairs, the landing, and the dock then?
Correct.
On page 95, you talked about a stop work order being issued. That photograph, did they actually stop the work or did they continue on?
Work was stopped.
Okay. Have they done anything on the property that you're aware of since the stop work order was in place?
No.
Okay. On page 96 and 97, could you tell us, or actually in 98 and 99, what does that reflect?
This reflects the building permit application that was filled out by the property owner.
Okay, to get the permit on this particular property, since it's not owned by an individual, it would require a contractor, correct?
Correct.
So the property owner could not do it on their own. They would need a general contractor.
Correct.
Okay. On page 102, can you tell us what, actually, let me back up. Page 101, what is that document?
These are notes from our permitting software. Just the fact that the application has been in the denied drawer up front, and that it also explains the reason for denial, and also the permit technician reaching out to the property owner, whether by phone or email.
Okay. And item number 102 in the packet, what is that?
This is an email that I sent to the property owner, and I attached the city permit application as well as the Pinellas County water navigation application.
And you did that back in June?
Correct.
And did you get a response to that email?
No.
How did you know what the email address was that you sent it to?
That email address is on the front of the permit application.
That's the email address that the property owner provided, is that?
Correct.
Okay. All right. I would, A couple more questions. When was the last time you were out to the property?
I don't think I visited the property since the initial stop work order.
Have you determined whether or not a permit has been issued?
There has not.
Okay, thank you. I have no other questions of Mr. Pinker. I would tender into evidence items 73 through 102.
All right, Mr. Trask, we'll go ahead and accept into the record as exhibit number 1 the documents, photographs, and other items that are designated as pages 73 through 102. Anyone here on behalf of the property owner? Hello? Can you please give us your name and affiliation, since this is owned by Ann Arbor Corporation?
Swear me first.
If you haven't been sworn in yet, please. Yes, please.
Your right arm, your right hand. You swear the testimony you're about to give is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. If you could state your name and address, please.
Harriet Andrews.
All right, let me make sure I've got the spelling of your last name, ma'am. Hold on one second. I saw it, I think, written somewhere. Andries?
That's correct.
And ma'am, what is your capacity, affiliation with Ann Arbor Corporation?
I'm a manager for Ann Arbor Corporation and a shareholder.
All right. And is the best address for you the 7955 66th Street North, Suite D address?
Yes, sir.
All right. Ma'am, just as you saw in the other hearings today, I'm going to give you in a few minutes the opportunity to tell me whatever it is you want to tell me.
I think we can digress pretty quickly here.
Okay, well, this is your opportunity to cross-examine Mr. Pinkard. Ask him any questions based upon what Mr. Trask asked him. Do you have any questions for Mr. Pinkard?
The only thing that I would ask you is, are you saying that we built a dock or that we repaired a dock?
When the deck boards and the stringers, the work that we saw that's pictured in the packet, there's a fine line between maintenance and repair, and that amount of work would require an inspection, therefore would require a permit.
I'm just establishing the fact that the dock was already there.
The poles were not,
Yes.
are not new.
Correct. The city attorney mentioned that this was a new dock. I just think it's very important to reflect that this is not a new dock. So, correct? You agree?
Correct. The tie poles are existing.
Okay.
All right. I don't know whether Mr. Trask has any other witnesses, but you just have a seat real quick. Do you have anybody else, Mr. Trask?
No other witnesses. He's the only one.
All right. Mr. Andrews, or Ms. Andrews, this is your opportunity to present any evidence, any argument you want me to consider as part of this process.
It is true that we did get cited, and I had conversations with Holden Pinker, and they told me to do an application for a permit, and I did that, and then I got a call from the office here saying that I needed a permit from Water and Navigation, or EPA. I attempted to do that. They said we don't give permits for dock repairs. That's not required, and that was kind of where I kind of stopped for me. I did reach out to them again, and it has been a long time. I will say that's true. And then when we got the other notice in June, unfortunately I got COVID in June, and I was out until the end of July. Just another thing that just kind of added to it. We want to come into compliance. We did not do any work after that. The work had been completed when we were cited. We did a dock repair. After speaking with Holden, he told me that if you do more than 50% of your boards, then that's considered permittable. You have to permit. You can do less than that and not need a permit. Obviously, I know that now, but it's already been done. So I want to just take care of it. So just need some time to do that.
All right. Mr. Trask, do you have anything in the
How much time do you think that you're going to need to do that?
I think if we had 60 days, I don't know how long it'll take. I mean, I have a couple contractors, so I think that I could get that taken care of, but probably 90 days would be awesome.
Is there anyone occupying the property?
We use it just personally. We don't rent it or anything like that.
Okay.
I mean,
so there's no one living there then?
Not permanently. No, we come out on the weekend sometimes, but we don't, we don't occupy it permanently, no.
Okay.
So it's a second home for us.
Okay. I don't have any other questions.
Mr. Pinkard, just so you can help us, do you know how long the process is taking right now, given whatever may be going on with the county? Assuming that they understand this is at least assuming Madeira Beach's position that this is a dock that requires permitting, do you know how long that process would take for the owner to go through so it would come back to you?
Frank or Linda might be able to speak a little bit more to this, but I think typically our review is 5 to 10 business days, and I'm not sure with the county, as far as water and navigation.
Ms. Trask, do you mind asking Ms. Portala just if she knows the answer to that question?
Let me start with Mr. DeSantis.
Okay, that's
He's
fine.
the building official, and so, Mr. DeSantis, do you have any idea how much time it would take? You know, considering we're trying to figure out how much time to give the property owner to bring the property into compliance, that's really the key. How much time would it take to go to the Pinellas County Navigational Authority to address those issues?
Normally, going through them, it would take 30 days, normally.
Thank you.
And I know normally, I mean, is that because of COVID is delaying things, or is that just even in the last few months, it would take 30 days?
30 days, standard time.
Okay, thank you. I asked a lot of different questions of a lot of different people. Do you have any follow-up questions for anything I asked?
No, I've worked with Frank before, and these
Okay.
are not difficult people to work with.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Andrews. I appreciate that. All right. Any members of the public that want to speak in regard to case number 2020.716? Seeing none, we will close public comment. Ms. Andrews, anything else you want to share with me? Mr. Trask.
So just to wrap the case up, you know, obviously you've heard testimony that the work has been done. There had been an admittance of the violation by the property owner. We all are under the understanding that a permit could be issued probably within the next 30 to 45 days based upon the testimony that you've heard. Would ask that you give the property owner 60 days to bring the property into compliance. And should she fail to bring the property into compliance within that 60 days, that a $100 a day fine would be issued. Don't see it to be a life safety issue. So I think that we would recommend, so it would be December the 12th.
Is that a weekday, Mr. Trask? I just don't know.
You know what? I can check right now and I can tell you the answer to that. December the 12th is a Saturday.
What's that next Monday?
The 14th, December 14th was Monday.
Okay. All right, I'm going to find, based on the property owner's admission and the other evidence, that there is a violation. Ms. Andres, the the corrective action is to obtain an after-the-fact building permit for the stairs, the landing, and the dock. I'm going to give you until December 14th. 2020 to obtain the permit, bring the property into compliance. If you don't, then thereafter there'll be a fine of $100 a day. Just as you saw in the prior hearings, if for whatever reason there is difficulty either in obtaining the permit from Pinellas County or your work with the contractor or something like that, please keep the city posted, specifically Mr. Pinkard. Please keep him posted, and you can appear before me and ask for an extension of time if you have a documented reason for why you may need more time. But it sounds like the county is going to get this turned around to you, and certainly the city is expecting your permit as well. And one more thing, as you heard Mr. Trask say, because the property is titled in the name of a corporation, and Mr. Trask, please jump in here if anything I say is incorrect based on the city of Madeira Beach, but you are going to need a general contractor to assist you in submitting the actual permit application. When individuals in Florida own their own home individually, they can obtain a permit, but when it's owned in the name of a corporation, it's my understanding that the city is going to require that you have an actual contractor that apply for that permit. Is that correct, Mr. Trask?
That's correct.
All right. Okay, that concludes the hearing on case number 20.716. Is there any other business before me today?
No, sir. I think that's the last case. Appreciate your time today.
All right, we'll go ahead and close the hearing. Thank you all for coming today.